D2 Word Life here with the biggest goddamn country bumpkin Riptides.
The fuck?
And today we are going to be talking about the 1997 Survivor Series event.
I got screwed and I keep getting screwed and you do nothing about it.
Oh, and trust me, nothing controversial happens at all whatsoever. But anyway, this took place in Montreal, Quebec, Canada on November 9th, 1997 at the Molson Center with an attendance of 20,593.
Yep.
And of course, the commentators for this event was Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler with a ring announcer who I don't remember the name of. I'm not going to bother looking that up, but he kept introducing everyone and speaking French.
Yes.
Which was kind of weird this time, but not really a big deal. Doesn't take away anything from the event.
It does. He just didn't say everyone's name right. It was fucking bullshit.
Well, if you can just, mentally turn the ring announcing off for this event, then it won't be a bother like I did. Of course, even Jerry Lawler even pointed out the fact during the shows, like, how come this ring announcer keeps speaking French?
Don't they know how to speak English?
Yeah, and how come this ring announcer keeps speaking French?
Because he was Quebecian.
Well, they were in Montreal, Quebec. They speak English and French over there, so...
Then why couldn't he just speak in English?
I don't know. Maybe they hired him to speak French to the crowd.
Yeah.
Anyway, we start off the event with a video package hyping the whole Bret Hart Shawn Michaels feud, since those two would be in the main event fighting for the WWE Championship, highlighting the hatred between the two over the 96-97 calendar years.
Yeah.
Which everyone knows about their legit hatred on screen and backstage at that point. That's been well documented.
And it all started at WrestleMania.
It all started at WrestleMania 12, 18 months prior to this event. Well, supposedly after Shawn beat Bret in that Iron Man match, he told Bret, he told the referee, tell Bret, get that piece of shit out of my ring. Supposedly.
Yes, he did say that.
Allegedly, and that's where the hatred between these two really started.
Allegedly, my ass.
Then fast forward a little over a year later, then everyone knows about that backstage skirmish that they had where Bret Hart legitimately ripped some of Shawn's hair out. And then according to corner stories, Bret Hart didn't even want to work with Shawn Michaels here at Survivor Series, but obviously we know what happened. Shawn became number one contender when he beat The Undertaker at Hell in a Cell, and, well, Bret was the reigning champion at that point.
Well, Bret Hart was upset that The Undertaker didn't win because it was supposed to be him and The Undertaker
instead
at WrestleMania 13.
Yeah, that's one version of the story I heard, but the other version of the story I heard it was the original plan. One of the original planned main event matches for WrestleMania 13 was supposed to be Bret and Shawn Part 2, where Bret would get his win back. That was another plan, but Shawn refused.
Yeah, because Shawn didn't want to drop the title.
Exactly. So instead, the WrestleMania 13 match was really fucked up. Bret won the vacant belt after Shawn freaking vacated it, lost it the next night. Instead, Shawn didn't even compete at WrestleMania that year, while Bret and Austin had a classic. But either way,
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that classic match when we review that event as a whole.
Yep.
But anyway, let's get down to the matches of this Survivor Series card. The opening contest was your boys, the Headbangers, which is Moss and Thrasher, teaming up with the new Blackjacks, which was Bradshaw and Barry Windham. It's like taking on Team Hillbilly, which is goddamn Cletus, which is goddamn Cletus, Rufus, Billy Bob, and Abraham.
You forgot Jim.
Well, whatever. There was no Jim at ringside. I'm just kidding. It was really against the Godwins and the New Age Outlaws.
Who later became known as Southern Justice because they kept saying, "Oh, they're Southern Justice."
The only reason I'm called them all hillbilly Southern names is because the Godwins and the Outlaws' outfits they were wearing.
Yeah,
when
well,
they made
the
their entrance.
Outlaws had stolen the Blackjacks' hats and ruined them.
Yeah. And of course, this was at the time when Road Dogg and Billy Gunn just formed their tag team. They didn't even have entrance music. They didn't even have a tag team name, but we all know. I don't really call them by their tag team name because we all know that was their team named later on.
Yep.
So yeah, this was a traditional Survivor Series match. Yeah, and the first elimination was Bradshaw eliminating Henry Godwin with a abdominal stretch into a pin for a 3 count after some back and forth.
Yeah.
These Survivor Series eliminations were really short, by the way.
Well, they were all 4v4 at the time.
So it was 4-on-3. Yeah, and then Windham came in the ring, worked over Phineas with a suplex, and also into a gut wrench slam for Windham, followed by a clothesline.
Yeah.
That we seen. And then freaking Phineas got a clothesline and eliminates Barry Windham after that.
Yeah.
So now we're 3. So now it was 3-on-3 at this point?
Yep.
It's like Mosh came in and freaking dropped an elbow and a drop kick on the Phineas. And actually, yeah, the crowd did respond negatively to the Headbangers for some reason. Of course, this was a weird crowd to start with in this event. Right?
Well, they were Canadian.
Yep.
They didn't like Americans.
Yeah, and then after a little bit of like offense here, Mosh got eliminated by Billy Gunn. After Billy Gunn hit a reversal bulldog attempt into a face plant. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, Billy Gunn eliminated Mosh, so we're down to a 3-on-2 situation here.
Then it was Thrasher versus Billy Gunn.
Yep. I'm not going to go spot for every elimination. The next elimination that came up was Phineas Godwin being eliminated by Thrasher. After Thrasher went up to the top and hit a splash with his butt right in the face of Phineas, doing the stage dive sit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So your boy Phineas was out.
No, that's your boy because you like Southern Justice.
Yeah, and then the next person eliminated was Bradshaw. By the Road Dogg, after Road Dogg snuck up from behind and rolled him up for a fluke 3 count, which to me looked like a 2.
He held his tights, and it was a 2 count, but because Bradshaw had kicked out, But with Road Dogg holding his tights, it didn't look like he kicked out.
Yeah, and that was a little questionable. I'm like, okay, whatever. Just get through this matchup here. Yeah, and then Thrasher was the only one left for his team against both Outlaws here.
Yep.
And it looked like Thrasher was going to eliminate freaking Road Dogg near the end, only for Billy Gunn to get a blind tag and hit a top turnbuckle leg drop, which, let's face it, by that angle it missed Thrasher's head by a mile.
Yeah.
But either way, Billy Gunn eliminated Thrasher for the Outlaws to be the sole survivors of this Survivor Series match.
Well, he also hit him with the move that would now be called the Famouser.
Yeah.
To get the pin.
So the survivors for this match was Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, the Outlaws, like I said. So, your thoughts on this Survivor Series match?
Yeah, it was good. Slow, but good.
Yeah, it's not the greatest Survivor Series match, but I guess it was I guess they did their job, because this was the show. This was pretty much to get the Outlaws over, who just started as a team, even though Road Dogg never tagged in until halfway through the match. Oh yeah, and I really hate to say this, but it's kind of weird seeing Road Dogg without his signature hairstyle from that time era. He had short hair, not the cornrow hair, or the long beaded hair that he's known for. If you noticed.
Yeah, he had the corn rolls before, and then he shortened it.
But yeah, it just really wasn't the best of matches I've ever seen. Really forgettable after it happened, but it pretty much established a new team at that point.
Well, this was also when Road Dogg had just gotten away from Double J Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, about a year. About a year probably was trying to find himself.
Yes.
And Billy Gunn just ended an ill-fated alliance with Honky Tonk Man at that point. Just breaking out and just forming another team, which really propelled him to be a star anyway, that helped him propel to what he is now. With this team, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, you want to talk about ugly? Sheesh. The next match, Survivor Series match, was the Dirty Old Assholes, which was Crush, Chains, and 8-Ball and Skull taking on the Truth Commission.
Oh, God.
Which was the Interrogator Kurgan, Jackal, Sniper, Recon. I think it was freaking Sniper who is Bull Buchanan, by the way. Yes, he was involved in this team. All right.
Oh, God.
They were facing, the Dirty Old Assholes. Or the Disciples of Apocalypse, whatever you want to call them. Right?
DOA, Dead on Arrival.
This match felt like it was Dead on Arrival. I don't like fucking shitting on Survivor Series matches and wrestling, and wrestlers themselves, but come on. Kurgan was totally immobile, and the veteran Crush in there tried his best to hold it together, but it was just a shit show to me. Right?
Well, Chains tried to freaking fight in there, and he wasn't feeling well that entire month, really.
Exactly. But Chains and the Interrogator, well, we gotta talk about this match. Chains and the Interrogator, or Kurgan, whatever, started it off. But, Kurgan was such a huge dude. He was pretty much the prototype of what the Great Khali was. In a way.
Yeah.
And Kurgan just hit a sidewalk slam on a Chains and pinned Chains in quick fashion. Right.
Yep.
Recon. Recon was later known as Bull Buchanan. Sorry, I mixed the two up. But it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Got his turn in there. He was the legal man after getting tagged in. And then Jackal got the tag in. Jackal was really their manager, so of course he got eliminated in quick succession by 8-Ball shortly after he went in there. But then for the rest of the match, Jackal went out there to do commentary. Right?
Which he was supposed to go back to the back.
Yeah, he was. Instead he decided to do commentary with Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, hyping how great his team was.
Yeah.
He should have been hyping how shit his team was in reality.
It was crap.
Yeah, and then after a little bit of back and forth, Recon was eliminated by Skull after Skull had a clothesline on him to eliminate him. I'm not going into full detail with this match because it was boring. I fell asleep to this, okay? Which seems to happen a lot with these boring matches that I got to review, but like I said, I'm not throwing any shade at them. Wrestling is really hard. And we're not qualified. We don't even have the experience, so yeah. What we come off as what we think us fans think is a boring match could be exhausting to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yep. Yeah, so Recon got eliminated by Skull after good tag team finishing move. I don't even remember the name of it.
Or should we call him Ball Buchanan?
Yeah, Buchanan got eliminated by Skull. That's better. Or B squared. That's better to call him too.
Yes.
Yeah, and then after...
Being called Recon is just fucking retarded.
Yeah, but after freaking Buchanan got eliminated... Kurgan. Let's just call him Kurgan instead of the interrogator, okay? Kurgan got a cheap shot in.
Well, he became Kurgan after the freaking Truth Society broke up.
Yeah.
Which was the gayest name in fucking wrestling, I swear.
Just for the record, he means it was the lamest name. Right. Gotta think we grew up in a different time period where that meant lame and other definitions. We don't mean it as an insult. At least I try to refrain from saying
insult to the name, yes.
Yeah, but other people can read into that and thinking, oh, you're making fun of a certain community. We're not.
Like I said, I could care whatever whose freaking gender they want to be gay, straight, whatever. I don't care.
Doesn't affect us whatsoever.
Yes.
You do you do me, but we don't do each other.
Exactly.
But yeah, Kurgan got a cheap shot on Skull or 8-Ball. Skull, I believe, after the elimination of Buchanan here. Yeah, then 8-Ball suffered a bulldog from Sniper. Followed, and then Skull got eliminated by Sniper as well. So he was out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next one to go was 8-Ball. These eliminations were happening pretty quickly at this point, right?
Yeah.
And you got pinned by Kurgan after a devastating sidewalk slam.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to go through this quickly. I'm not going to go spot for spot for the remainder of it. I'm sorry. If you want to see how crap this match is, you can watch this event yourself. Right, like we did. It was
crap.
So, yeah, 8-Ball was eliminated by Skull, and then Crush tried to make a comeback. And then he ended up eliminating Sniper, right?
Yeah.
After a tilt-a-whirl slam, but then immediately Kurgan in there hit another devastating sidewalk slam to Crush, and Crush got eliminated. Thus, Kurgan is the survivor.
I didn't know that the sidewalk slam could be so devastating.
I really hate to say that this was a bad Survivor Series match, but it's not memorable. It's like a match you'll watch and then forget it ever happened once it's over.
Yes.
But your thoughts on this one?
Eh.
It felt like the weakest Survivor Series match of the night of this event.
Yes.
I know they were trying to build up Kurgan as a big monster, but that didn't quite work in the long run. Because, Kurgan was a dominating monster, but we didn't wrestle.
Well, especially when he joined up with Luna's team after that. And the freaking Crazy J or whatever the dude's name from the Insane Clown Posse.
Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope.
Yes.
That's what Attitude Era fans remember Kurgan for being, and then it was and that happened less than a year after this, and shortly after that he was gone.
Yes.
So instead of having a big star, they just kind of realized they can't wrestle and put him on a comedy team and then released him short afterwards.
I don't know why they even had him wrestle, because he couldn't wrestle.
He did have a devastating sidewalk slam, though. And yes, I'm taking...
All he did was pick him up and then just set his ass down. That's all he did.
And yes, I'm taking the piss out of it. No, I'm pretty sure the person who played Kurgan is a nice person in real life, and I heard he's a Hollywood stuntman and actor now, from where he's from, and he carved out a good career for himself with that, but a wrestling return I don't think is in his future.
He couldn't wrestle.
And besides, he probably makes more money doing movies anyway these days.
He probably does.
So good for him, I guess. Right?
Just stay away from the wrestling ring is all I have to say.
But then again, they put the Great Khali in the Hall of Fame within the last couple of years, and he couldn't wrestle either.
Well, he couldn't. Well, he still wrestled.
He was very limited, like more limited than Kurgan was, or about the same.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. So anyway, they did a whole skit backstage where Steve Austin was talking to the people for America Online, answering questions and stuff, and they did America Online. Remember those?
Never know.
Remember that? Yeah, I feel old. Now it's just the World Wide Web, right?
Yes.
And then they did interviews in the back with Team Canada and Team USA.
Well, the thing was with Stone Cold, they were all asking, "Oh, how's your neck?" And he's like, "Screw my neck."
And he's like, "Yeah, I'm a little worried about my neck, whatever, but I'm just gonna go out there and whip Owen Hart's ass later."
Yes.
Yeah, then they did pre-recorded interviews. They did interviews with Team Canada and Team USA. This actually marked the pay-per-view debut of Steve Blackman.
Well, it was the whole thing with Steve Blackman and becoming the walking weapon.
Yeah, the lethal weapon, right?
Yes.
Or as the wrestling bios guy would call him, Steve motherfucking Blackman. Am I right?
Yeah.
Anyway, the next Survivor Series elimination match was Team Canada, which was the British.
And only one person was from Canada.
Yeah. Anyway, this...
What's funny as hell is that everyone else was from a different place, except for the one man from Canada.
Yes. We had Team Canada consisting of the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, Jim Neidhart, Doug Furtis, and Phil Lafon taking on Team USA, which is Vader, Goldust, Steve Blackman, and Mark Merrill, with Sable at ringside.
Well, this was also where Goldust kind of went crazy. when he dumped his wife and his family, was blaming everything on his dad.
Yes, and even Goldust had the letters "F-U" painted on his face, meaning forever unchained, by the way.
And he also had "Alive Again"
painted on the back of his head, right? Along with nothing but black makeup for this one, right?
Yep. He didn't even get into the match.
No, he didn't, and we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that here in a minute. And you know what's funny? Only for the Team Canada match, only Phil LaFon was the one that was born in Canada.
Yes, that's what I was saying. He was the only Canadian. The others was British Bulldog, was from frickin' England.
British Bulldog was from England. Jim Neidhart was from Reno, Nevada, and Doug Furtis was from Oklahoma.
Yes, with JR.
Exactly. Right. So it's funny how Team Canada only had one Canadian representing their team.
That's what I'm saying. Because the Bulldog was from Manchester, England.
Yeah.
Fucking Jim Nye was from Vegas, Nevada.
Or Reno, Nevada. Same area, same thing.
Well, Vegas and Reno are, I think, like a couple miles apart, but...
Yeah, Reno's on the top of the Nevada desert, while Vegas on the bottom of the Nevada desert.
Yeah.
So it's one end or the other. That's pretty much where those places are.
Yes.
And yes, I've been to both.
So have I.
Yep. But anyway, the match started off with Miro and Bulldog being the two legal men for the respective teams, right?
Yep.
And you know, it's like those two went at it. It's like Bulldog performed a shoulder block, then a hip toss to Miro, right?
Yeah.
Vader came in. Vader then got tagged in. The crowd chanted for Sable, which absolutely enraged Mark Mero here.
Well, Vader got at the point where Mark Mero was, where Sable was actually getting fed up with Mark Mero.
Yeah, then Vader got the tag. Was going off on Bulldog for a while. And then LaFon gets a tag in. Gets splashed by Vader and Miro. And Miro gets a high knee after getting tagged in. I think the first man eliminated was Blackman. Blackman got the tag in, but...
Yeah, Blackman got pinned, and then Vader came in and freaking just squashed Bill Fontaine, or whatever the dude's name was.
Yeah.
Freaking, and did belly to belly and then pinned him. Yeah. Showing off, saying that, yeah, you can do that, I can do it even better.
It's like, yeah, Jim Neidhart got eliminated second by Vader after a pinfall, right?
Yep.
Then Phil LaFon also got eliminated by Vader. Oh, yeah, Steve Blackman got counted out. That's what happened. Right?
Well, he was beating the shit out of him anyway, so...
Yeah, and then the next one out was Mark Mero. Afterwards, right?
Yeah, and then Jerry the King Lawler was like, Sable, don't go!
Yep. Not really going into quick detail. We got a lot to talk about for this main event. Yeah, then Mero got eliminated. Then that's when freaking the controversy with Goldust happened. Right?
Even though Goldust had a broken hand, he was cleared to wrestle.
Yeah, because at this point, it was Goldust and Vader against Doug Furtis and the British Bulldog for their respective teams.
Yep.
And then Goldust refused to tag in at all, right?
Yes.
Vader forced Goldust to be in the match by slapping him in the face.
He slapped the taste out of his mouth.
Yeah, slapped the taste out of his mouth, saying, "Now you're legal. That counts as a tag." Goldust didn't even fight. He just walked out and said, "Fuck this." He's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. So that Goldust was counted out. Yeah. And then the next one to go shortly after Goldust was counted out was Doug Furtis by Vader. By pinfall, but
then Vader got knocked out by the ring bell.
Yeah, which gave the British Bulldog time to get the ring bell. Referee was distracted. Referees were distracted. He nailed Vader in the head with the ring bell and pinned Vader to become the sole survivor.
That's the only time. That's the only way he could have pinned Vader, because Vader was fucking beating his ass from pillar to post.
Yes, Vader was on offense, beating the hell out of him for most of this match.
Yes.
So, your thoughts on this one?
Goldust was a dick.
Yeah, turning his back on his team and metaphorically turning his back on his entire country.
Well, this was also the point later in a few months later is when he literally burned the Goldust costume.
Became the artist formerly known as Goldust. Which that was a whole nother story of wacky, bizarre shit, okay?
It was still called Goldust, though.
Yep.
You can't be an artist formerly known as Goldust and be Goldust.
Yeah.
That made absolutely no fucking sense.
But it gave us some of the most wackiest shit in early '98 with it.
Yeah.
Which we'll probably review when we review those early events.
And then he became Dustin Rhodes.
Dustin Rhodes, yeah. Or Reynolds.
Reynolds, yes.
Dustin Reynolds, yeah. And then slowly later on the following year after all that, he slowly reverted back to the Goldust character.
Yep.
But, all that wacky stuff in between, that's another story for another time. Lord knows we got a lot to talk about here still.
Yeah.
So the next match on the card was Kane's in-ring debut, like official match debut.
Versus Mankind.
Kane was actually escorted to the ring, or Kane was managed by Paul Bearer during this period.
Yes.
Which is funny because we see another match where Mankind's opponent is managed by Paul Bearer, but unlike the last time, we don't see a Paul Bearer turn.
Yeah.
Unlike what happened at SummerSlam, the last classic review we did.
Yep.
And even Mankind even cut a promo before the match saying that, well, what do you do when you see a brick wall in front of you? Most people would climb over it or go around it. Me, I'm just going to keep running right through it. Referring to Kane as a brick wall here.
Yeah.
And he says he's just gonna keep running into it until it goes down, or if he dies trying. Pretty much.
Yeah, well, he was also saying, oh, I'm a pebble.
Yep. Who's the pebble now, Paul? Right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and this match is unique because I believe this match is the only Kane pay-per-view match that was actually contested under his red lights the whole match. Which, yes, what was distracting, and yes, I know they did that for The Fiend later on in the later years, but a match under completely red light.
I think there was one more pay-per-view that they did that with Kane in the red hue.
Yeah, but seeing a match contested in just none but red light just wasn't the best idea because it was kind of hard to see what was going on. You know what I mean?
Well, I know they did it for Raw until the early 90s.
Yeah. But anyway, this match started off with Mankind attacking Kane before Kane even could get into the ring. But then Kane freaking Kane stopped Mankind's attacks real quick.
You couldn't even see Mankind freaking attacking. It was just dark and red.
Yeah, well, Kane ended up whipping Mankind into the steel steps, right?
And then chucking his ass into it.
And then Kane then chucked Mankind's body into the ring and then did his whole finishing up his entrance by making the ring post catch fire, go lit, like he usually does. But then the red light continued, but the red light was still on, so everyone knew that this match was going to be contested under that. And Jim Ross explained, oh yeah, the red light is due to, quote, unexplained power. I'm like, okay. It's just the lighting rig system not switching back to normal, but okay. We'll go with that explanation.
Yep.
Of course, gotta give Mick Foley effort here because he tried everything he could at Kane here. Even hitting the cactus clothesline to Kane that had no effect whatsoever. Including, at one point, whipping Kane into the steel steps on the outside. Or not whipping him, like whiplashing him, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the referee was having a lot of leeway in this match, considering at one point, Mankind used a steel chair on the Kane's head and no disqualification was rang, right?
Yeah. Well, like Mick Foley said, he wasn't going to go around it. He was going through it.
Yes, I mean, Mick Foley brought the fight to Kane here, including at one time hitting a pile driver onto Kane. While Kane was down, Mick Foley made the mistake by applying the mandible claw onto Paul Bear instead of focusing on Kane afterwards.
Yep. And he's like, oh, how do you feel now, Uncle Paul?
He's like, who's a pebble now, right? But then that prompted Kane to sit right back up like he usually does, and then hit a freaking one-arm chokeslam, which sent Mankind flying from the ring apron right through the Spanish announce table.
Yep.
And I'm just like, yeah, that's another thing Mick Foley needs, another table bump. Right?
Yes.
Of course, Mankind then managed to battle back. Those two went out to the other side of the ring on the outside where Mick got Kane down and then hit his Cactus Jack-inspired elbow from the ring apron to the floor onto Kane. And when Mankind was about to do it again, Kane got right back up, jumped onto the ring apron, and just freaking chucked Mankind from the top rope onto the floor.
Yep.
Which, that signified the end, right? Or the start of the end, right?
Yeah.
And then, after Mick Foley, Mankind barely got back into the ring, Kane scooped him up, hit a tombstone, and got the 3 count.
Yep.
Putting an end to this hellacious, brutal war between these two monsters.
Yeah.
Anyway, your thoughts on this Kane-Mankind match? From what you've seen.
It was interesting.
It was the most hard-hitting match of the night. Well, second most hard-hitting match of the night. Right?
Yeah.
I believe the main event in its first, several minutes had that one beat, but that's just me. Right?
Yeah.
So, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good brawl between the two monster supernatural beings. One deranged and crazy, the other one just straight up chaotic.
Yeah.
And it showed Kane in a dominating state without making Mankind or Mick Foley look weak either.
Yeah.
Because you gotta realize at this time they were establishing Kane as a top guy, top threat. Considering The Undertaker didn't want to fight Kane at this point.
Well, he said he would never fight his brother, so...
Yeah, and just think of how many wars they had since.
Yeah.
May have been a slow match, may not have been for everyone, but hey, I just thought it was still pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we go right after the match. We went backstage to Michael Cole interviewing Commissioner Slaughter and Vince McMahon. And Slaughter said they brought extra security to deal with the backstage tension. They also should have brought extra security to deal with the whole main event fiasco. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Vince McMahon looked like he had a nervous look on his face. That should have been a dead giveaway of what was going to be going on.
Well, because he was worried that... Because Bret Hart, which was his top guy...
Yeah.
Was having problems with Shawn Michaels.
Uh-huh.
And everything was becoming a powder keg.
Yep. And even Vince knew the real backstage story then at that point, right?
Yes.
But anyway, also freaking backstage at that point, the Legion of Doom, Hawk and the Animal, Ken Shamrock and Ahmed Johnson did their little interview about their Survivor Series match.
Yep.
Speaking of which, it was the LOD, Hawk and Animal, Shamrock and Ahmed Johnson facing off against the Nation, which was Farouk, the Rocky Maivia, Kama Mustafa, and D'Lo Brown in a Survivor Series elimination style match.
Yep.
The last Survivor Series elimination match for this one.
Yeah.
And for this match, I think it was kind of funny how when Shamrock was in there cleaning house, wrestling here, I remember freaking Jerry Lawler saying, "What? You can't win a match in the WWF by submission?" And I'm like, Jerry was like, "Yeah, you can." And I'm thinking to myself, has Bret Hart's submission victories meant nothing to you at this point? Am I right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Lawler didn't even like Bret Hart for some reason.
Yep. And of course the Rocky Sucks chants were freaking noticeable, because this was when The Rock was a fresh heel. You know, the thing that kind of saved The Rock's career from at this point, that boosted him into a megastar. Right.
Well, this is also the point in which he had become from just Rocky Maivia or Rocky Johnson to Rocky Maivia, which then he just went to The Rock.
Yep. And of course, the first wrestler eliminated was Hawk, eliminated by The Rock here at the 2-minute mark.
Yeah.
I think he was eliminated by Rock Bottom. Right.
Yeah.
Ugh. So, yeah, Hawk was out of the match. Then the next one gone was Farouk. Right? He was eliminated by Ahmed Johnson.
Doing the Pearl Plunge.
Pearl River Plunge. And then the next one eliminated was Johnson himself, eliminated by The Rock. So, yes, a Johnson eliminated a Johnson. I had to say it. Right?
Was it Johnson and Johnson, though?
Yeah.
Did they have baby powder?
Yeah. Whatever. I guess you could say that. Ha ha. Of course, there was no powder used in this match.
Is that why Ahmed Johnson and Rocky then created the Johnson and Johnson company?
You like some of that Johnson and Johnson
You
action.
can never be in a ring with a Johnson.
You love that Johnson and Johnson action. Okay, moving on. This is getting weird.
Never shake a hand with a Johnson. You never know where their hand has been.
And the next one gone from the Survivor Series team was Kama Mustafa. He was eliminated by Animal, by pinfall here.
And then later on in the years, he became out as the Godfather.
Yes. Yeah. And then I'm just going briefly through these Survivor Series matches here. The next one eliminated via countout was Animal, right?
Well, that's because Road Dogg and fucking Billy Gunn fucking threw some kind of fucking white powder at Animal.
It was a Johnson & Johnson powder they threw at him. But yeah, Animal was actually counted out because Billy Gunn and Road Dogg came out wearing the LOD's ring gear and painted their faces.
And threw the fucking white powder at him.
Yes. So Animal was counted out, which meant at this point Shamrock was the only one left for his team.
And Shamrock won, becoming the only survivor.
Yeah, but let's face it. He got D'Lo Brown into the ankle lock, making D'Lo Brown tap out, and then about 30 seconds later, he got The Rock into the ankle lock submission hold, and The Rock tapped out too, meaning Shamrock
after getting hit twice, one that sounded like a fucking shotgun.
But yeah, Shamrock hit his Hurricane Rana, and then lost it. Armbar takedown, and then The Rock tapped out to the ankle lock shortly after D'Lo Brown's elimination.
Yep.
That's how that happened, right?
Another Johnson got eliminated.
Shamrock won the match. It was probably the best Survivor Series match of this card, or Survivor Series elimination. Traditional Survivor Series match of this card, but nothing to write home about.
Well, it was also Ahmed Johnson getting revenge on Farouk for what he had done.
Yeah, it was Johnson eliminated Farouk earlier in the match, getting revenge, right?
Yes.
And of course, this match was okay. If I had to pick the best Survivor Series tag team elimination match from '97, that one would be it. And it was kind of the start of Shamrock versus the Nation.
Yes.
Which would happen throughout the '98 calendar year, it seems.
Yeah.
Specifically with The Rock. Which, this is the second time in this podcast review that we saw a match in where Shamrock tapped out The Rock.
Yep.
The last time we reviewed this was, the last time we seen it was during the King of the Ring '98 review.
Yeah.
But it was all good. But afterwards they did the hype package for the Owen Hart Austin match.
The Nugget.
You're a nugget.
You're a nugget.
And pretty much Austin said he was going to beat the shit out of Owen Hart, pretty much. And Owen Hart was taking credit for breaking Austin's neck.
Canadian team.
Yes. And Owen was taking credit for breaking Austin's neck. Austin made his entrance for this Intercontinental Championship match. Owen was the champion defending against Austin. Right? Austin came out, and at the time he had actual plexiglass shatter before his entrance. Only half of it broke. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, Owen Hart came out with the rest of Team Canada with the Intercontinental Championship, obviously, because he was champion at this point, beating Farouk in the tournament finals the month prior at Bad Blood, which we already covered.
Yeah.
And Owen was wearing that Owen 316 shirt with on the back it said, "I just broke your neck," right?
Well, he also had Team Canada holding his shit.
And you could tell by a look on Owen's face during the entrance, there was no freaking regular, typical Owen entrance. He looked like, well, I'm walking in there to get my ass kicked type face, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Really slow and methodical, like he didn't even want to be there. Right?
Well, he never thought that Stone Cold would wrestle after he freaking broke his neck.
I mean, that broken neck could have ended Austin's career right there. I mean, it kind of did years later, but not at that point.
Yes.
But then, right when Austin was waiting for Owen to get in the ring, Neidhart snuck in the ring. Austin gave Neidhart a stunner, which prompted Owen to jump in, and came at Austin with punches and whipped him into the corner. And Owen Hart actually teased doing a pile driver on Austin, but Austin reversed it.
Yep.
And kept with a backdrop. And then Owen Hart slides out of the ring, and then Austin went out there, put the boots to him. Just
stuffed a butthole in his ass and walked inside.
Starts beating the shit out of Owen Hart here. And then Owen Hart battled back and actually tried to blatantly get disqualified by choking Austin's neck with some camera cable.
Yeah.
And even the referee was like telling Owen, "Gotta get off him. Yeah, use it." And he goes, "Disqualify me then." Owen was trying desperately to freaking walk out as champion still against Austin here, even resorting to trying to get himself disqualified.
Yeah, but it all failed.
It's like, but in the end, Owen and Austin were back in the ring doing some more brawling, and then afterward, and at one point, Owen tried to do the whole pile driver spot again, which the crowd was really vocal because they were actually cheering for Owen to break his neck.
Yes.
You notice that? But then Austin reversed.
Oh, Calgary, Canada. So all the Canadian fans were telling him, break his neck. Break his neck. Yeah. Stone Cold fucking got out and reversed it into a Stone Cold Stunner.
Into a stunner and pinned Owen Hart to win the Intercontinental Championship here.
Yeah, and 2 members of Team Canada got stunned.
Yep.
The only
Doug
man
Virtus went in.
Canada.
Furtis and LaFont. Yeah, and then afterwards Austin gave a stunner to Furtis and LaFont just for the hell of it.
Yep.
And I'm just like, ugh. Yeah, this was a relatively short match. It was more of a beatdown, but I appreciate the story they told here. So what do you think about this Owen Austin SummerSlam 97 rematch where Austin got his revenge for the broken neck spot?
Well, Austin said, like I said, bad blood in the tournament that after it, or SummerSlam, whatever it was.
Yeah.
He literally said he was going to Quebec, Canada to raise hell, and he rose hell.
Yeah. It's like Montreal, Quebec, Canada. That's where this event was. But afterwards they showed the first ever WWF Attitude advertisement. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was kind of ironic because the last thing you saw in that little advertisement was Bret Hart saying, "Yeah, try lacing my boots." I'm like, you ain't going to be around for the Attitude Era. And this is exactly the reason why.
Yep.
Where did this event take place?
Canada.
Yeah, it took place in Montreal. Now we're gonna discuss why this event has that name attached to it. You know what I'm talking about.
The Montreal Screw Job.
The main event was WWE champion Bret Hart defending against the European champion Shawn Michaels in a match where the WWE championship was the only one on the line.
Yep.
And yes, they replayed the freaking package they did at the start of the show just to hype this match up, so we saw the same video package not once but twice. Right?
Yeah, but we also saw some very provocative posters there, didn't we?
Yeah, Shawn Michaels. They showed the shot of everyone coming in from the locker room all the way to the gorilla position before their entrance, both Michaels and Hart, right?
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels came out there, did his whole entrance thing, his flamboyancy and everything else, took a Canadian flag, wiped his ass with it, blew his nose on it, and then started humping it in the middle of the ring. I am not making this up. This is what happened.
Oh, I know.
And then we've seen some very lewd signs in the crowd that if we were to repeat them right here in this podcast, this could get this video taken down.
Let's just say it has something to do with what the French call cigarettes.
Yeah, but they weren't using that word in that context, obviously.
Exactly. That's what I said. It has something to do with the word that the French use to call for cigarettes.
Yep. And of course you got Bret Hart coming out here. He was the big fan favorite.
We also saw some Canadian fan or whatever that drew DX with just maple leaf. Yeah. That is it.
With just Maple
That
Leafs
was very
covering stuff.
disturbing.
Yeah, with just Maple Leafs covering stuff.
Yes, it was very disturbing.
Yeah, and like I said, the fans in the late '90s, they were a different breed all to themselves compared to today.
I was a fan in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm talking about the crowd, the signs you would see in the crowd. You wouldn't see any of that today. Obviously.
Well, that's because they would take it as a hate crime.
Anyway, Bret Hart made his entrance, being followed by Neidhart, Bulldog, and I'm assuming his son, all the way up to the gorilla position. He came out. He got a standing ovation, but what the fans kind of thought, but didn't realize was that this would be Bret Hart's last night in the company.
Yep.
Because we even seen a sign that said Bret don't go. I'm like, okay, there's a fan that was probably clued in at that point to the rumors. Right?
Well, there was also a sign that said, Bret, don't wait, just leave.
Exactly. But the match started out pretty good. Because they didn't waste no goddamn time. They just started beating the hell out of each other, and the brawl even went out through the crowd and into the rampway.
Yeah.
With a bunch of, like, security, or should we say officials, trying to break them up the whole damn time, and that didn't work.
Well, the thing is that powder keg exploded because Shawn Michaels supposedly made a reference that we couldn't hear when Bret Hart's entrance was there or whatever, and yeah. Bret heard it, and he fucking just went nuts.
Just lost it. And didn't even
he
wait.
Said something about his family or his sister that married Davey Boy or something.
Some derogatory, disrespectful, and of course Bret lost it.
Yes.
And it didn't. The brutal beating didn't even stop until they started taking out officials, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually order was restored. They got back into the ring. And even at one time, and even after the bell rang, Bret Hart did choke out Shawn Michaels with the Quebec flag. Right when the bell was ringing. I don't know why that wasn't a disqualification. Oh, wait. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then also at one point, Shawn Michaels broke the Canadian flag that Bret Hart brought to the ring and nailed him in the back with it. Right?
It was basically a no-holds-barred match.
The referee was just referee Earl Hebner was letting everything slide. Yes.
Well, he was also a referee that was causing controversy as well.
Yeah, and we'll see exactly how in a minute when we talk about it. Now, these two were brawling for a good portion of the match, back and forth, including Shawn Michaels reversing Bret at one point with a forearm to the face, knocking Bret down temporarily.
And Bret Hart dragging his ass to the freaking steel post and just locking on and beating his legs up on it.
And then applying that
the figure four on him.
The figure four in the ring post spot, which at this point Bret was known for doing in his matches.
Yes, but he was also making Shawn give up too.
But of course it didn't freaking count because it was outside the ring into the ropes, so Bret had a 5 count to work with.
Yep.
Broke the hold on 4. Oh, if only Bret Hart knew, he would have just intentionally kept that locked in. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then at one point, Michaels raked Bret's eyes down. Both were like down, right? At this point, Earl Hebner even got knocked out at one point.
Well, right. That's because fucking Shawn Michaels grabbed Earl Hebner when Bret Hart was jumping off the top rope.
Yeah, Michaels grabbed Earl Hebner. Earl Hebner got down. Michaels got Bret down with a rake to the eyes. Right? And then at this point, Earl Hebner got back up onto his feet, and then we saw it. Shawn Michaels applied the sharpshooter, Bret's own submission hold, onto onto Brett, right? And
Yeah.
right when it looked like Brett was going to get out of it, Earl Hebner called for the bell, thus symbolizing the match was over and that Shawn Michaels was the champion.
Yep. Even though Brett never tapped, he was getting out of the sharpshooter and reversing it.
And then Shawn Michaels acting like I didn't know what the hell happened. At this point, Earl Hebner just freaking ran out of sight because apparently he had a conversation with Brett saying, I will not screw you in this match. Instead, he just ran over, didn't even go into the locker room. According to his story, he ran all the way out to his car that his brother Dave already had running. They hightailed it out of the arena.
Yeah, he ran back to the locker room, grabbed his shit, and fucking took off because Bret Hart was looking for him at the end of the show.
Yes.
And he fucking ran back there after he freaking rang the bell and fucking took the hell off.
But of course, this is what happened after the show got off air, right? Michaels went to the back, obviously. Bret Hart was pissed off, furious, spat in Vince McMahon's face at ringside, right?
Yep.
And then proceeded to destroy what was left of the announce table while with his fingers writing out WCW, as we know, because we've seen those clips.
Yep.
And then Bret Hart at the time was also filming his documentary, Wrestling with Shadows, about his career during this time period.
Yep.
And apparently Bret went to the freaking back. Vince McMahon freaking confronted him because Undertaker backstage told Vince, you gotta go make it right. You gotta freaking confront him right now. Because apparently this wasn't a planned finish. Bret thought the original planned finish was them going to a no contest, thus meaning Bret still had the title. Vince McMahon organized the screw job.
Well, this is also the whole thing is that Undertaker knew what the hell was going on. He was explaining it to Mr. McMahon. Mr. McMahon was still didn't give two shits. And then right when he saw what Shawn Michaels was doing to Bret Hart's locker room,
yeah,
he tried to make it right. And Bret, by the time he got to Bret was fucking furious.
Yeah, according to the story, Bret agreed for the match to end in a no contest. Or disqualified because he did not want to drop the championship to Shawn, since Bret Hart had the creative control clause in his contract at this point.
Yes.
And then right when Bret Hart left the meeting room or the area where they discussed the match, I guess Triple H and Shawn Michaels looked at Vince and was like, fuck him. Right?
Well,
and pretty much orchestrated the screw job.
Well, that was Shawn Michaels' idea, because he wanted the freaking title, but Mr. McMahon wasn't ready to have him hold the title, and Shawn Michaels thinking that he's God Almighty.
And then Bret was leaving.
I'll do it my way.
Bret was leaving for WCW at that point. So they concocted this. Yeah, they concocted this screw job where Shawn would have him in the sharpshooter and the ref would ring the bell. Everyone was in on it.
Yes.
Except for Bret Hart. And in the back, Bret Hart and Triple H were denying that they had any involvement with it, which turns out years later that was a bullshit lie.
Yes.
And we could talk about, and what have we had? It's like the Montreal Screwdust's been covered to death already.
But the thing is that Undertaker heard what fucking Shawn Michaels and Triple H were doing. He went to go do that and also try to calm down Bret.
Since Bret and Taker were real life friends at that point.
Yes.
And then supposedly, allegedly, when Vince went to Bret's locker room that night, after the event was fully done and this whole chaos backstage was unfolding, I guess Bret told Vince, like, I'm going to go take my shower. If you're still in this locker room, I'm going to deck you in the face. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, yeah, because he fucking was pissed that because Shawn Michaels wrote a whole bunch of shit about him, his family, Canada, all that shit, was talking shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, last thing Bret Hart did for the company before he left for WCW was deck Vince McMahon in the face backstage following the screw job.
Well, also, because he was saying, oh, what about my deal that we were doing? And Vince was like, well, We can't do it.
You can't pay for that contract anymore. That's why freaking he told Brett to go to WCW. Which, let's face it, Brett was never happy in WCW. He was in a shithole at that point. Because they didn't know how to make him into a main event star that he deserved to be.
Yes. All because fucking Shawn Michaels is being a fucking bitch.
Yeah. So yeah, that whole thing was controversial, but I think we pretty much covered everything that we know about the Montreal Screwjob here. So
well, there was a whole bunch more that went back down from what I heard, but they never released the whole fucking content of what the hell was going on. All we know is that there was contract disputes. Shawn Michaels didn't like him. They were feuding in real life.
Both Brett and Shawn hated each other.
Shawn was supposed to be getting a pay cut because of all the steroids and drugs that he was using.
That was going around the company at the time. They were really, in 97, WWE wasn't making a big profit at that point because they weren't the big powerhouse like they are now.
Yes.
And it's like, dude. So one top guy had to get screwed over the other one. That's pretty much how it was.
Yes.
Of course, years later, time heals.
Shawn Michaels also told Mr. McMahon, he's like, I will be the biggest draw that you'll ever... That was a bullshit lie. The biggest draw that he had was Bret Hart at the time. Shawn Michaels didn't fucking pop off until after Triple H betrayed him.
Yeah, during Shawn's second run with the company.
Yes.
And of course, the biggest star that was laying in wait at that point was Steve Austin.
Yes.
Who would be the big top star literally a couple months later.
Yes, but the whole thing was there was supposed to be another feud with Bret Hart and Austin to kind of signify Bret Hart's departure, but that was all thrown out.
Yeah. But anyway, including the Screwjob Ender. Not the backstage stuff, just what we saw in the ring. Your thoughts on this brawl between these two in the ring, or that during the match?
Brutal.
Yes.
They should have had more fucking security, which they never did.
Exactly.
Even though that they said, "Oh, we hired more." Oh shit, you hired more. You only hired fucking 4 fucking people.
Yeah.
What the fuck is 4 people and Rap's supposed to do?
And of course, let's kind of end this Montreal Screwjob business off on a happy note. It took 9 years for Bret Hart and Vince McMahon to reconcile, where Bret got inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2006.
Well, it also took Shawn and Bret another 14 years after that to reconcile when he came back in
2010.
2010?
Yeah, it was 2010. This would be Bret Hart's last appearance in the WWE ring for 13, 14 years.
Yes.
Bret Hart would come back in 2010 and then had that god-awful WrestleMania 26 match with Vince McMahon. I am not looking forward to that one.
Yeah, but then he also came back and had that match with John Cena at SummerSlam.
Yeah, that whole 2010 SummerSlam tag match, which we ain't going into detail here, considering we'll save that for when we review that event. But the match itself, the Survivor Series match itself between these two, ending aside, I thought it was a pretty good brawl. Or a pretty good brawl that could have gone either way, but even though deep down I knew how it was going to end.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's our star ratings for this now. The New Age Outlaws and the Godwins defeating the Headbangers and the New Blackjacks in the 4-on-4 Survivor Series match, with the sole survivor being Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. Oh, man, I really hate to say this, but I give it about a 2 out of 5.
1.
Yeah, I enjoyed it just slightly more than you did, I guess.
Yep.
Not by much. The Truth Commission defeating the DOA in the 4-on-4 Survivor Series match with the Interrogator being the sole survivor, half. And that's being nice.
0. And that's being nice.
Sheesh. That was nicer than you. I only say half a star. Just because of how dominating they tried to tell a story about Kurgan is. Other than that, I could really give a crap less about it.
Okay, negative 100 stars.
Oh, that's Michael Cole territory. Team Canada defeating Team USA in that 4-on-4 Survivor Series match with Bulldog being the survivor, which also featured Goldust just walking out on his team.
2 1/4.
Yeah, I give it about 2.5. Right.
It's not even worthy for 2.5. It's 2 1/4.
Yeah. Kane with Paul Bearer defeating Mankind in a one-on-one match that had the red lights and stuff, that hard-hitting affair. I'd give it about 3.5 out of 5.
3 1/8.
It's about the same length pattern we're thinking. Ken Shamrock, Man Johnson, and the Legion of Doom defeating the Nation of Domination in that 4-on-4 Survivor Series match with Shamrock being the survivor. The best Survivor Series match, I would just have to give it about a 3.5.
4.
3.5, 4, pretty much about the same thinking pattern here on it. Entertainment. Steve Austin defeating Owen Hart to win the Intercontinental Championship in that ass kicker of a match. I would give it about 4.5.
5.
You say 5, I say 4.5.
He beat the Nugget.
Still entertaining for what it is.
Well, he also fucking Stone Cold Stunnered every fucking person that came out.
Yes.
He beat the shit out of Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Yep. And, of course, we have the main event with Shawn Michaels defeating WWE Champion Bret Hart in that thus the Montreal Screwjob, because it wasn't by submission. Bret Hart never tapped out.
Yeah, no, there was no tap. There was nothing.
I don't know how you would rate the Montreal Screwjob. I really don't think I can. I think this one's on great. I mean, the fighting beforehand was great before the ending.
I honestly, this is what I'm gonna say. It may be an unpopular opinion. For the screw job, I'd say it's a 5 out of 5, but still,
you're probably
screw
saying
job kind of minused it for me. So I'd say it's about a 4 out of 5.
It's like maybe maybe because you're saying that because of the significance and historical shit because of it, but me, even with that logic, I can't grade it. To me, this screw job is ungradable.
Well, what I'm saying is that's what minused it was the screw job.
I mean, but if I had to give an actual rating system, for me personally,
you have to wade through the bullshit.
For me, if I had to give it an unrateable, gradable system out of 5, the screw job ending itself, that would be 0. But the match beforehand, the brawling it happened before the ending, I would probably give 4 out of 5. Also, I'm just going to go with your logic, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's maybe an unpopular opinion. I give the whole match a 5 out of 5, but with the screw job and everything and all the stuff that we know, it's like a 4 out of 5. That's all I can say, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to freaking wade through all the bullshit what was going on back then.
Exactly. To me,
it would be literally a question mark for the fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't fucking deal with question marks.
I mean, yeah. And we don't deal with that. We actually have to give scores. But like I said, the ending to me gets 0. But the match itself beforehand, 4 out of 5, because I like the brawl.
Yeah.
But, there was a lot of stinkers on this show. My overall grade for Survivor Series 97, I'm sorry, would have to be a C, and that's only because of the semi-main and the main.
It's more of a low B.
Yeah.
High C to low B.
Yes. So anyway, that was our thoughts on the Survivor Series 97 and the whole Montreal screw job as a whole, right?
Yes.
So we go from one show that had one bad ending to next week. Right here in the review, we have what is considered, we're going to be reviewing a show that has considerably the best WWE Championship match, but also on the same card, the worst World Heavyweight Championship match on the same card.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, God, yes. And if
No.
if you don't know what I am talking about, next week's review, we are going to be reviewing the Royal Rumble 2003.
God, no, not that one.
The one that had the Kurt Angle Chris Benoit WWE Championship match and that worst shitty Scott Steiner Triple H World Title match.
Why?
You tortured me with Michael Cole months ago. I am torturing you with this now.
God damn it.
You'd be lucky I'm not torturing myself with another certain event that we don't want to cover. You knew exactly. I told you last week. You knew exactly what I was thinking here.
Yes, I knew what you were talking about. Why did you think you're like, oh, you want to guess? Well, I'm like, no, please, no.
Because you probably already knew what I was thinking about.
I know what you are doing. You're just like, oh, it's the early 2000s. I'm like, fuck.
So we'll just see how bad that World Heavyweight title match is next week. So until then, I will talk to you all later. Peace.
Oh, God. Please help me get through this.